Hello, this is Sylvia Kratzer. How do you select the correct neighborhood for you? The biggest mistake for me wasn't buying the wrong house or buying a wrong investment. It was buying in a neighborhood that didn't support who I was and was becoming. And that ultimately is more costly when you then have to sell or rent out than buying in the correct neighborhood right away and making a financial decision that fits your lifestyle. As a realtor, I find too few realtors really pay attention to that and advise their clients correctly. Here are some pointers what you may not have considered that would show a lifestyle that fits the Coral Gables lifestyle versus the Coconut Grove lifestyle. Most realtors sell the house behind the front door, but the house is a product, a commodity. A lifestyle is a dream, and perhaps that's the most important factor in your buying decision. Here are some descriptive words for Coral Gables. See if it fits you. Floral, garden clubs, traditional, elegant, quiet, and very conservative lifestyle, perhaps more fit for a little bit older people or families or people who are primarily interested in golfing and gardening. Coral Gables is often described as elegant. Pristinely trimmed gardens, everything is neat and precise, well kept. But perhaps the better attribute would be intentional and traditional, and institutions that have stood the test of time. Coral Gables appeals to people who appreciate structure, tradition, institution. For many buyers, Coral Gables represents becoming the person who hosts Thanksgiving's party for 20 people or more, who serves on boards of local charities, belongs to the country club or golf club, and has deep roots in the community. Their identity is often one of legacy, family, accomplishment, and belonging. They enjoy beautifully maintained streets and gardens, historical homes, historical appreciation, historical architecture, private clubs, championship golf courses, and some of Miami's most established schools and cultural institutions, from theaters to book clubs to garden clubs and historical societies. They are creating a home where their children grow up, where they value and honor traditions, where holiday traditions are established and family memories are created over decades. The social life tends to center around schools, private clubs, business networks, churches, country clubs, philanthropy, charity events, and long-standing community organizations, sometimes going back a century. People often know each other for years, and relationships run deep. That doesn't mean a newcomer is excluded, but as in any traditional community, it takes time to be part and parcel of this ingrained communal fabric of society. There's a sense of permanency here. Many people are building not just a lifestyle, but a legacy in Coral Gables. The identity many people are stepping in Coral Gables is, I have arrived, not in a flashy way, in a grounded way. Life feels established, respected, and rooted. The homes become a symbol of accomplishment, stewardship, and continuity. Here, you're not chasing the next thing, you're building something that's gardening. Well then, what about Coconut Grove? Here are some descriptors I think fit Coconut Grove, and see if that's your personality. Walkable, waterfront, yachts and marina, café culture, outdoor lifestyle, creative, but also private and reserved, but you find the right connections with discovering shared interests, such as perhaps your dogs, pools, yachts, and going out at night to very beautiful places that seem more like a resort than a retirement community. So what about the Coconut Grove lifestyle? Coconut Grove appeals to a very different part of the human spirit. Since I come from the cinema, I often compare it to Pirates of the Caribbean. The gardens are more wild, more tropical. There is canopy versus Coral Gables where everything is neatly trimmed. There are backyards that seem to go forever and seem to go offering almost like a jungle experience. Similarly, the people often have a more creative, freer lifestyle that appeals to them. Coconut Grove is less about status and more about experience. Less about structure and more about freedom. Less about tradition and more about self-expression. And where in Coral Gables the sport is golf, in Coconut Grove it's primarily yachting, the yacht clubs, boating, and being out on the sea, on the ocean. People who love Coconut Grove are often people who love spontaneity, connection, creativity, and excitement. A sense of measured luxury adventure. It's almost more like a luxury resort on a tropical island. Where Coral Gables is measured, Coconut Grove retains a sense of the mysterious. And it's not just the wild peacocks that are everywhere and the tropical gardens, but the people who live here who represent a certain mystique of living, experience, and adventure. They are very connected and want to know who owns the local coffee shop or who congregates at Merry Christmas Park in the morning for the daily dog walk. And oftentimes people know each other by the dog's name rather than the personal name, because there's a sense of the community built around experiences. They want to spend Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, afternoons at the yacht club, and evenings at a rooftop bar, or watching the sunset over Biscayne Bay. There's an entrepreneurship energy in the Grove, expansiveness, future-oriented almost more so than the tradition orientation of Coral Gables. A creative energy, a sense that life is to be enjoyed rather than managed. Many residents are business owners, founders, creative people, people who work remotely or who own businesses all over the world. And since Miami is a hub for Latin America, many people run their businesses out of Miami and especially Coconut Grove. Instead of asking, what should I do? They ask, what do I want to have my life feel like? The identity is not built around accomplishment here so much as it is built around a lifestyle. The person buying in Coconut Grove and thriving here is maybe stepping into an identity that appreciates wellness, freedom, self-expression, creativity, nature, adventure, and personal freedom. For many people moving here from, whether it's overseas or from Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, or elsewhere in the country, it feels like a reinvention, almost like a childhood dream become reality. A chance to slow down without shrinking, a chance to dream bigger, a chance to be successful without being consumed by success. And rather than being rooted, as in Coral Gables, Coconut Grove residents often are very much tapped into the international lifestyle, international market, international businesses, and visions that go far beyond the local and the traditional. the identity often becomes, I'm creating a life here that doesn't need a vacation, because the lifestyle here is the vacation. I'm creating a life here that I don't need a vacation from. And perhaps that is why so many people who discover Coconut Grove fall in love with it. They are not simply buying a home, they are buying permission to live life differently. So what's your ideal lifestyle? Coral Gables or Coconut Grove, or perhaps Miami Beach or Brickell? We'll discuss these neighborhoods soon, but I hope this got you going into thinking more about the identity, the transformation a new home offers you, the lifestyle, than just the bedroom size, the square footage, and the price per square footage. And contact me for more information. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. I also have a test I developed working in Hollywood about storytelling and personality types, prosperity personalities. What kind of type? If you're a maverick, you might be more Coconut Grove person. If you are an accumulator, you're most definitely a Coral Gables person. So if you want a free test that gives you insight into your personality and some areas you may not even be aware of, then let me know and I will be happy to send it to you, email it to you, or DM it to you. And also shows you how to best invest, what kind of home is ideal to invest for your personality. So many times we're in denial or we don't even know, so the test gives you the clarity you may be lacking. It also offers an opportunity, if you and your partner are very different personalities, to be aware of that and find a balance that satisfies both. So I'm excited to see you in the next video. Talk to you soon. This is Sylvia Kratzer from Coconut Grove. But what about if you are a seller? A lot of sellers make the mistake to just think a bigger house, more upgrades will necessarily sell their home, but not so fast. Actually, the emotional connection is many times the determining factor for the buyer. So how do you create that emotional connection? Much of listing is not just the facts, but the story you tell with your house. And telling the right story is pivotal. Of course, I come from the Hollywood context, worked as a producer and as a professor of cinema, so storytelling is natural to me, and I actually have a very clear guidance I give my sellers as to how to determine the story their home tells their buyers, their ideal buyer. Story, aspirational lifestyle, and emotional connections win the day over square footage and whether or not you updated the kitchen cabinets. Before working with me, looking at Zillow all day long, comparing square footage and ending up confused. After working with me, clear priorities, neighborhood fit, lifestyle match, better decision, and ultimately more money in your pocket, because these decisions will also determine much of your economic investments in the area that truly matter to you. School is an important factor for many families, and we do a separate video on that soon. So I'm excited to see you in the next video. Talk to you soon. This is Sylvia Kratzer from Coconut Grove.